Hi, welcome to Tiny Teacup Reads. Thank you for being here. Spring has finally sprung, and that is famously the season of new beginnings. So for today's video, I wanted to give you 12 recommendations for books where the main characters go through a new beginning. I'll start with my favorite on this list, which is Miss Benson's Beetle by Rachel Joyce. It is 1950 London, just after the war, and Marjorie Benson is a middle-aged school teacher and spinster. One day, she decides that she has had enough of her old life and decides to blow all of her savings on her childhood dream. She is going to New Caledonia to find a beetle that may or may not exist, the golden beetle. She ends up hiring Enid Pretty to be her assistant, who is the complete opposite of Marjorie. Enid is young and flamboyant, and she is running away from her own secrets back in London. Together, the two women embark on an adventure that takes them halfway across the world. This book is so beautiful. It manages to be heartwarming and life-affirming without ever being cheesy, which is not an easy thing to do. The friendship between the two women is something that is developed so slowly and carefully and naturally. It feels really real. It is maybe the real treasure was the friendship we made along the way kind of book. I really think this book needs to have more hype around it, and it has made me realize that I desperately need more books about middle-aged women tossing off the shackles of what society expects and deciding to go on a grand adventure. A very cute book about new beginnings is Little Beach Street Bakery by Jenny Colgan. This is a contemporary book about Polly, who is not just dealing with a big breakup, but also with her company going under. She has no idea what she wants to do with her life now, and she ends up in a tiny seaside village in Cornwall. She gets a cheap apartment over an old abandoned bakery, which inspires her to start making money with her true passion in life, which is baking. Along the way, there are new friendships and maybe a romance or two, and she learns to find her place in this new world. This book is not going to reshape the genre, but it is very much a comfort read for me, and I really love the location. Give me a woman rebuilding her life in a coastal town, and I am in. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett is probably the book on this list that is most associated with spring. And for good reason. It is a children's book about Mary, who has been spoiled her whole life but has to move in with her uncle who lives in the Yorkshire moors after her parents' death. While there, she discovers a door to a secret garden, one that has been hidden and neglected for many years. And she goes through the journey of rebuilding this garden along with her new friends. As an early childhood educator myself, my biggest takeaway from this book was how vital it is for children to go outside and get dirty and play in the mud for them to be happy and healthy, which is a cause that I very much support. Another middle grade book is Wonder by R.J. Palazzo. August is a young boy with a significant facial difference, and he has always been homeschooled, until now when he will start 5th grade. He struggles very much to fit in at the beginning and to get people to see past his difference, but this is very much a book about acceptance and about how our goal should not be to fit in, but to be ourselves. One of my all-time favorite series is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, and while any of the books on the series would fit with this theme as each one explores a different chapter in Anne's life, the book that I decided to go with for this list was Anne's House of Dreams. It is book number 5 in the series, and Anne has finally married Gilbert, and it follows the beginnings of their lives together as a married couple. The Ship of Brides by Jojo Moyes is a book about an entire ship full of new beginnings. It is set just after the end of the Second World War, and all of the young women who have married soldiers from different countries while the war went on are now being sent abroad to start their lives with those husbands. Setting out from Australia, the HMS Victoria is filled with 600 brides making their way to England. I think this book did such a great job of expressing the conflicting feelings that you would have about a new beginning like this. The women are mostly excited, but some of them are very nervous, and others even downright terrified about what waits ahead for them. The focus here is on 4 of these women, and I really love the historical aspect of this book. The next book is a book that takes the concept of a new beginning quite literally, and it is The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. If you've ever wondered how the magical land of Narnia was created, this book tells you all about it. Diggory and Polly are new friends in London when Uncle Andrew, the titular magician who has been messing about with things that he doesn't quite understand, sends the 2 children away to a new realm. After a few different stops, they end up in a completely empty land and witness how Aslan creates Narnia. It is very much a biblical allegory, as all of the series is taking inspiration from Genesis, but it is also a really fun adventure read. Another book that is rather literal on the topic of new beginnings is A Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. In this book, Ursula Todd is reborn over and over again, reliving her life many times, a little bit different each time. It is a totally fascinating book, and while I'm personally not a huge fan of the ending and how that was handled, I do think this one is worth the read just for how interesting the concept is. The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd is set in South Carolina in the 1960s. Lily Owens is a troubled teenager with a very difficult home life. So when she runs away to a small town that she knows that her mother stayed in, she is taken in by 3 beekeeping women. This is a middle grade book that deals with race and with finding your place in this world. There are several Jane Austen books that could fall in the category of new beginnings, but the one that I chose was Sense and Sensibility. It begins with our main family, a widowed mother and her 3 daughters, having to move out of their home and into a small cottage in the countryside. It is very much a downgrade in their eyes, but it is also the catalyst for the 2 eldest daughters to fall in love. The Undomestic Goddess by Sophie Kinsella is cheesy, unpredictable, and filled with tropes of the chick lit genre. Samantha is a workaholic lawyer in the big city when she has a bit of a meltdown, runs away, gets on a train, ends up in the middle of nowhere, and accidentally becomes the housekeeper of a large house. Despite having no idea how to keep a house, she decides to stay there and make the best of it, and ends up getting closer to the owner of the house. This book is the literary equivalent of a marshmallow, sugary and with not a huge amount of substance, but it's fun and sometimes you just want a sugary treat. And lastly, one more historical novel, and that is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s forced many people to move away and to begin new lives, and after her husband leaves them, Elsa is forced to take her family and do just that. This follows their journey to California and their struggle to try to go from surviving to living again. That is my list for books with new beginnings. I am an absolute sucker for this trope, so if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to see them. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that I will see you in the next video. Bye!